friends and cinemaphiles, grubby people everywhere, Predator!
Movies should be fun. Movies should be fun. Movies should be fun. Movies should be fun. Movies should be fun, yeah!
So this week, I saw Predator on the big screen as part of a celebration for its 30th anniversary. Seeing Predator on the big screen was quite an experience, let me tell you. So, Predator is about Arnold Schwarzenegger, Dutch, going into the jungle with some friends, or co-workers, fellow military rescue people, to supposedly rescue a cabinet minister. They're sent on this journey by a general guy named Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed himself, an old friend of Dutch's called Dylan, who is apparently a son of a bitch, who the CIA has pushing far too many pencils these days. Anyway, they go into the jungle, they find some skinned guys, and basically they take out some rebels, and it turns out this wasn't quite what it seems. You know, our story has been cooked up, and they've been sent into the meat grinder to find this Predator thing. They don't know it's a Predator they're after, but they know something is killing people and killing their people. His guys, Dylan's guys, have got to find out who it is. So they go in, and they find out about the demon that makes trophies of men, which is an awesome, awesome thing to be called, I think. So you have your ragtag team of army guys, and you also have a lady from the rebel group who tags along, and gradually is of course released from being a prisoner to help them battle this beast that's coming for them. This beast who can see heat, vroom, 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 heat vision. So basically, stuff goes down, people die. He's picking them off, he's hunting them. This Predator is hunting the team until it's basically just Arnold left. The lady has run off to the chopper, get to the chopper! And Arnold is left to face one ugly motherfucker. And he does face him. He faces him covered in mud with spears and sticks and all sorts of cool stuff he's made in the jungle, because the Predator can't differentiate between the jungle foliage that has been altered to become a weapon and the jungle foliage. And Arnold, needless to say, wins, gets to the chopper, and escapes. This movie has so many quotable lines. I've just done several in this recap, and there are so many more. I ain't got time to bleed. There's some terrible jokes about pussies, but you laugh in the context in which they are in which terrible jokes are being told. There is tobacco chewing in order to make one a goddamn sexual tyrannosaurus. Basically, this film is quotes awash. I've never seen this film in the big screen before, and seeing it in a cinema added a whole new level to my enjoyment of it. The cinematography, the way the leaves and the vines and bits of the canopy are just in shot, in front of the actors, in front of the characters. They don't move too many of them out the way. They let you feel like you are inside the jungle, and that is truly fantastic. The landscape itself, it's so mountainous, and almost nothing is ever flat, and it's hilly, and it's dense. It must have been a nightmare to film and to work in, but it is absolutely a joy to watch. You know, as they slide down through things, and they cut vines out of the way, and they shoot ridiculous amounts of machine guns into forests and all sorts, and the Predator's glowing blood showing up on leaves. So, the performances in this film. Arnold, I think, is at his peak here. He's playing a slightly more rounded character than the Terminator, but still a character we could very much believe Arnold being. Some of his later films, when he sort of plays your everyday family man and gets caught up in stuff, you have a little bit of a hard time of believing this sort of giant Austrian bodybuilder is just your everyday guy. But a military sort of rescue extraction guy, hey, I'll buy that. You have Sonny Landham, you have Jessie Ventura, you have Bill Dukes, you have Carl Weathers, you have Shane Black, the movie director, who is in fact making another Predator movie. We'll see if that's any good. All these guys have pretty good chemistry, actually. You kind of believe they're a team in the way that you sort of believe anything in an 80s film is a team. And I love the tone, you know, it's not super serious like a lot of sort of army war films today, but it's not pure sort of 80s schlock. It's a nice middle bit, you know, there's jokes, there are one-liners, but there's also serious stuff and a relative degree of believability to how everything's working too. So I really like their interactions, and you know, as they start to die, increasingly, you start to care about the people who are dying. Shock horror. Yeah. The Predator effects itself, of course, are fantastic. We all know the iconic Predator look. It's brilliant, and it was created, of course, by the legendary Stan Winston, who unfortunately now is dead, as is Sonny Landham from this movie. Gosh, we're getting old, aren't we? We are getting old. People in Predator are dying, and not just in the film, but in real life, which sucks. Yeah, so the beast itself, the Predator, is fantastic. The mandibles and The plot to Predator is a fairly basic plot, but it works in its beautiful simplicity. You have a group of guys sent into a jungle to find out what's killing people. They find out what's killing people. It's an invisible alien, so they hunt him down. I mean, it sounds really silly, and you might argue that it is, but I would argue that you are wrong. The Predator is not silly. Predator is a very real threat. You don't know if there's an invisible alien coming for you through the woods because it's invisible. You aren't worth him hunting. That's why it hasn't killed you yet, because you are just a cockroach thing. You are not Arnold and his team. Now they are people truly worth hunting by the Predator. You, doesn't care. That's why you don't see them all around you, hunting you, the Predators. Predator has a great plot. It is a great plot. A movie plot does not have to be convoluted round in 1,000 ways in order to make it good. I'm looking at you, some more recent blockbusters. A movie plot needs to be understandable, it needs to be relatable, it needs to have an element of cool, perhaps an element of believability, at least emotionally, and then you're good to go. Why complicate things? Why? This is probably, scrap that definitely, one of the greatest all-time action films. It is one of the absolute greatest. It is certainly top 5, and it might even trickle up a little higher. It's probably not the best one. Perhaps one day we'll do an exploration to discover the #1 action film. Is it the one everyone always says, or is it perhaps not? We'll find out one day, perhaps. But Predator is top 5, for sure. Not even controversial, I think, to say that. If you don't have Predator in your top 5 action films, there are 2 possibilities. Either you were stupid, or 2, you haven't seen Predator, and therefore are probably stupid. Speaking of the sequels, I struggle to understand why they haven't been able to make a good one. You basically just have to repeat the premise and get some awesome people in it. And no one's quite managed that yet. The second Predator, I'll admit I haven't seen for a very long time. I think it's sort of watchable. It takes it and puts it in a city setting, which makes sense, but it just wasn't executed very well. The Predator versus Alien movies, I mean, seriously, the less said about them, the absolute better. Predators, I actually think is quite good. It's not fantastic, but it's a relatively worthy sequel. The Lawrence Fishburne role, now don't get me wrong, I love Lawrence Fishburne, but just think if they had tweaked it a little and got Arnold for that role. The grizzled old guy, the only one perhaps ever to defeat a Predator, so they have brought him there to try and kill him again, and they've still failed. That would have been awesome. It's a real shame it doesn't appear as if Arnold is going to be in the new Predator film, because they didn't sort of have a substantial enough role for him. It's one of the roles you could best bring him back for. Let's face it, it's getting harder to come up with excuses as to why the Terminator is an old man. And we've kind of seen the Terminator, and he is a relatively one-note character, albeit an awesome one. But Dutch at age 60, 70, thinking back on what has happened with the Predator, perhaps he's been fighting Predators in the meantime. Perhaps he's not. Perhaps he was traumatized. There's so many possibilities for where we could go with Dutch. And, coming face to face with a Predator again after all those years, and will he be able to defeat it in his elder years? Of course he could, because it's Arnold, and Arnold will always defeat Predators. That's a film I would really love to see. A relatively simple film, plot it however you like, in which we have Arnold and probably some other people too, because Predator is a team movie, coming up against the Predator again in a relatively simple setting. Doesn't have to be a jungle. Who knows what it could be. Please make that someone. Please, Arnold. Please make that film. We should also give a shout out to Alan Silvestri, who composed the film. Some absolutely classic music. Great music. Great music. Fits the atmosphere of the film absolutely perfectly. And of course, shout out to the director, John McTiernan, who also made classics such as Die Hard. Well, that's a pretty good film. Hunt for Red October. Oh, good film there. And The Last Action Hero. You can watch my video on that. Was this movie fun? I mean, I think you can probably gather the answer from all my spewing over it. Hell yes, Predator's fun. I mean, hell yes. Hell yes, get to the chopper, you one ugly motherfucker. And all such things. It's a brilliant film. If you can get a chance to see it in the cinema, this is a film I didn't necessarily expect to be elevated so much by a cinema experience. But like Jaws before it, and unlike Terminator 2, unfortunately, this film really benefits from the cinema treatment. You just get right there in the jungle with them, and it's a fantastic film. Go and see Predator, watch Predator, see Predator, love Predator. It's a shame about all the sequels. Here's hoping for the next one. Grab your fill out. Boom! Get to the chopper! What's the matter? CIA got you pushing too many pencils? So you cooked up some story and dumped us in the meat grinder!
I don't care who you are back in the world. You give away our position one more time, I'll bleed you. Real quiet. Leave you here. Got it?
Movies should be